Welcome back to another episode of the Silly Little Girls Club, and my guest today is the incredible Humeara Mohamed, who has the most insane story and path into her career as a freelance copywriter and journalist. She writes for huge publications like Vogue, Marie Claire, Refinery29, and also has this most incredible story about getting married on Zoom during lockdown, which it's giving sitcom. So anyway, I really hope you enjoy the episode. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Silly Little Girls Club podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I'm so excited to be a silly little girl.
I'm so excited. I'm so grateful that you said that you would come on the podcast, because I think we try and get so many different types of guests on, and I really wanted to get you on for your story, but to get some insight in what you do, because you have this incredible career in journalism and copywriting, and I think not a lot of people know what goes into that and behind the scenes, and how you even get into that. Do you know what I mean?
It's hard. I feel like it feels so far away and out of reach for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Also, can't believe you really wanted me on the podcast. What are you joking? That's so exciting.
Oh my god, no! I just thought it was always make a list of dream guests, and then Holly's tells me who I actually should get because of interesting conversations. And she's like, yeah, Humeara, she needs to be on this. So I was like,
right,
perfect.
thanks, Holly.
Yeah, thanks, Holly. So I think for me, what I'd love to do is sort of pick your brains a little bit and talk about how you actually got into this. Because I think that, when you're at school and you're a kid and there's you don't know what you want to do and how you get into something. It's just how was that for you? Is this something you've always wanted to do, or did you stumble into it?
So I knew I always wanted to do something creative, because honestly, I came out the womb writing poetry, for goodness sake. I'm not even joking. I was in year 1 or something, and I wrote this poem about bees, and my mum laminated it and put it on the wall, and I was like, that's so lame, but it's quite
it's cute.
So I've always been into writing, and I've always been been holding paintbrushes or something. Or I'm just always doing something creative. So I actually initially wanted to be a hairdresser, and that was my dream. And you know what? I would get up at the crack of dawn, like 4 a.m. I'm not even joking. Say I had to get up for school at 7, I'd get up at 4 so I could do these intricate braids in my hair and be ready for school on time. My mum would be like, "Wow, you did that yourself?" And I'd be like, "Yeah,
you've been up since 4, Mum. It looks great."
But I wanted to be a hairdresser, but in the South Asian community, it's quite hard to sort of say that you want to be in a creative industry. It's not about judgment or anything like that, but I think a lot of our parents have come from such poor backgrounds that then they just want the best for their children, and they want them to be able to have a good living and earn enough money. Also, my mum was a little bit of a rebel, and she did an art degree, and then she didn't end up doing anything with it. So I think for her, she was like, I don't want you to make the same mistakes. So I don't know, it came to school GCSEs, and I picked some sciencey subjects, and also when you had to pick your work experience, you had to pick two different bits of work experience over 2 weeks. And the first week I spent it at an optician's, which it was so boring, but I did it to
just check you weren't into doing that.
Yeah, honestly, I was maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe this life could be for me, and it wasn't.
No.
And then I did 1 week at a magazine, and oh my god. So all I did for the week was follow this incredible editor around, going for lunches, going to shoots. Oh, my first shoot, I was like, this is amazing. And she let me do this page in the back of the magazine. It was and I don't know, I picked Emma Watson to write do a page on Emma Watson, because I was a kid and into Harry Potter, and
we all love Emma Watson. She's
exactly.
So chic.
Exactly. I have no idea if I even wrote any words on that, or if I just got to pick some, I don't know, quotes that she sent to other people or whatever, because I was 14. I don't know how I managed to get my name in that magazine.
That's pretty good going.
It was crazy. But anyway, after that week, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do forever. And I think that's quite rare, knowing what you want to do from the age of 14.
Very rare.
Yeah.
Very lucky and very rare.
100%.
And I suppose that's a really nice way to navigate creativity with writing and stuff, with the serious jobs that your parents want you to have. That's actually a really smart way to navigate it.
Exactly, because I was like, look, I know that this sounds scary, but I know exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to research the exact path and the exact way to get into this, and I know I'm going to do it.
Oh my god, that's so amazing.
But yeah, and then so I ended up doing English and art and whatnot, for A-levels, and then when it came to applying for unis, I actually deferred my place and took a gap year because basically my family lived in the Middle East at the time. They lived in Dubai, and in order to sort of start in magazines, you have to do internships or or be an assistant, and these jobs are just paid so little, if at all. I don't know if it's a little bit better now. I feel like it's probably not that much better.
I don't know. I feel like I still rewatching The Hills. When they had on The City, when they had these internships, and it was like, oh my god. So imagine if it's still like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Also, you keep referencing The Hills, and I've never watched The Hills.
How have you never watched The Hills, Humeara? Oh my god, it's iconic.
Shock horror. I've also never watched Sex and the City. I know the team at Grazia were actually a bit pissed at me. They're like, "You can't work here and not have watched that."
It is literally an institution. Really weirdly, I made Greg, my other half, watch Sex and the City through, like from start to finish recently, and he was obsessed. We used to watch 4 or 5 episodes a night.
Oh, what?
It's so relevant still.
I didn't understand. I've just completely missed it.
You need to just watch it.
Maybe I'm too young. Technically, I am Gen Z. So maybe I missed it.
But it's still, honestly, it's still so relevant. Okay. I feel like even as Gen Z, you need to watch it, especially working in I know you're the beauty side, but it still bleeds into the fashion side and the beauty side. It's like
a bit of a badge of honor now, though, isn't it? I'm like, oh, I've never watched Sex and the City.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things. Like, I'm different. I've never watched it, but I'm like,
so cool.
This is. Yeah, I feel like at least The Hills, because that is so internshipy and magazine.
Okay, I will watch these things.
Yeah, you should.
I swear.
It'd be good. But you've probably got more important things to do, like actually growing your career and writing nice copy and things.
I mean, yes, but also I burn through shows like there's no tomorrow. I don't know how I do it. So I can't eat food without watching a show, and I can't shower without watching a show.
Oh my god, maybe not the shower because I haven't got a TV in my fridge.
No, me neither, but okay, you know how everyone's got the suction cups on the back of their phone and stick it on the shower.
But then you've got no excuse because you've got all this extra time.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Right. Anyway,
back to the conversation. So you're in Dubai and you've done a gap year and you're working in these magazines.
Yes, exactly. Right. So I was saying that you need to live somewhere, right? Because you need to intern or be an assistant, and those things just aren't paid well enough. You need to be privileged in some way, which is such a shame. And the industry needs to be better to work on that, because then you end up with only having the same kinds of voices in the industry.
Yeah, it's like an echo chamber then.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, if I'd moved back to the UK, my family's based in the Midlands in Leicester, and so I wouldn't have had the money or the means to get down to London to intern for free. I don't have family in London. So it made sense to stay in Dubai because that's where all the magazines in the Middle East are based. And so I was really lucky that I had this amazing way to just intern for free. My dad could drop me off in the morning. I didn't need to be earning money, you know, and that was amazing. And that was my first sort of real foray into the world of magazines, and it was just incredible. And that's when I really kind of got stuck in and was writing all the time. I think it took them a few months to trust that I could write.
Yeah.
But once they realized that I could actually write, I was writing so many pages, and I was 17, I think.
Wow.
I'm not even joking. 17 is a bit old for this, okay? But I didn't even know how to take cash out of a machine, because I remember my editor was like, "Can you go get me some cash out?" And I was like, "No."
No, what?
But I was writing all these pages. It's insane. And it was a really interesting vibe, and it was so exciting to kind of understand exactly how a magazine works. And basically, Grazia Middle East was owned by ITP. It still is, actually. And there were just a bunch of different magazines on this one floor. So there was Grazia on one table, Hello on one table, Women's Health on one table. And it was just so cool because you knew you would cross and you would speak to all of these really cool people all the time, and you'd be sat on the same table as your editor-in-chief. And it's not like it is in the movies where the editor-in-chief is really scary and away in a glass office somewhere. It was so cool. And I remember one week my editor, her name was Sophie Bew, and she was the fashion and beauty editor. She was either on holiday or on a press trip or something, and she'd organised the sort of most of this cover shoot that we had coming up, but I had to sort of call in all of her samples and make sure that everything was ready for her return so that she could just come back and be there at the shoot. And it was the most stressful week of my life, right? And my editor-in-chief was like, yeah, we sat on the same table and stuff, but she was still a wee bit scary. And I remember at the end of the week, she pulled me aside and she just went, well done this week. You've done well.
Oh
and
my
I was
God.
like,
You're like,
oh my God. It was like dark outside. It was like 9 p.m. or something. I was like waiting for my dad to pick me up, but I was like, it's worth it.
I did it. Unpaid, but I did it.
Exactly.
Like, that's wild.
But I was there for like a year, and I was there for free for about 3 months, and then they gave me a job because it became illegal to not pay me anymore. But it was still like, it was like pocket money. It was like £100 a month or something crazy. But it was just like on paper to say that they weren't taking advantage. So that was that. And then the year was up, and my parents were divorcing, so my mum was moving back to the Midlands. So I was like, right, yeah, I'll go back to uni. I'll go back to the UK to go for uni. And then I went to the University of Nottingham and did English with creative writing. Firstly, bloody love Nottingham.
Oh, wow, you know, it's my hometown, so I'm a little bit partial to it.
I've always said, you know what, if we ever need to leave London, I'd be so happy to go back to Notts.
Yeah, it's really good fun.
But yeah, I did.
And it's close to Leicester as well, so your family that are there, you've got that, like, you've got that support network there as well.
That's why I went there in the first place.
I thought it might be.
Yeah, because I was like, can't be too far away. Like, my mum's just moved back to this country that she hasn't lived in for so long. Like, but yeah, I loved Notts. So I did English with creative writing, and that meant that, honestly, at uni, I would have to read like 5 texts a week, which was mental because you did 5 different sort of areas of English. So I did literature, language, old English, theatre, and poetry. Is that 5? I
think so, yeah. Just about.
And like, so for each module you had a text to go through every week, and I was just like always carrying around books because I was such an insufferable asshole, and I was like, I don't want a Kindle, I like real books. So I was just walking around with this huge bag of books.
Just, oh my God,
I don't know what I was thinking.
No one's gonna mug you if you've got a giant bag of books.
Well, yeah,
exactly. Get anything.
But I also can't run away if I've got a giant bag of
there's
books.
that.
But yeah, so I did that, and I fell in love really with the poetry side mostly, and the theatre side, and that's what I ended up specialising in, like, at uni. And that's why I love Nottingham so much, because it sounds so lame, but it's got such a cool spoken word scene. I really miss it. So like really cool, just like poetry slams, like really supportive. You'd rock up at a cafe, like you put your name down, and you'd go up to the front and just like speak your heart out.
This is like a random world that I know nothing about. I grew up there, and I can honest to God say I'd never been to a poetry slam.
Right.
Like, I didn't even know there were such things there. I didn't even know, no offence to anyone from Nottingham listening, that I didn't realise we were that deep. You've definitely heard of Redken, right? The brand that hairdressers swear by for amazing hair care and styling. Well, I've been a hairdresser for like 20 years now, and trust me, Redken has been a staple in my kit for years. Their products just work. They are powered by science, designed for pros, and there's literally a perfect match for every hair concern, whether your hair is feeling a bit dry, damaged, or it just needs that little bit of extra love. And if you've ever wondered how we get that next level glossy colour in my salons, it's Redken. It's our secret weapon. The shine it gives hair is unreal, and it actually leaves it feeling healthier, which is kind of magic. So if you're thinking about a little colour refresh, then ask your stylist about Redken. You won't regret it. Or you can find a salon near you at redken.co.uk. All right, now let's get back to what you're actually here for.
It's so much fun. But the thing is, I feel like I only knew about it because I did English at uni.
I mean, it must be if you know, you know kind of situation.
Yeah, because here, there's got to be that kind of stuff in London, but I'm not in it. Like, I don't know.
But, yeah, there's definitely going to be it here.
Right, but I miss the Nottingham poetry scene.
Oh, that's so funny. The only thing I miss from Nottingham is those Thursday nights at Rock City.
Don't stop.
That was my life. That was my actual life for about 5 years straight. I kid you not.
No, oh my God, Ocean was my favourite.
Ocean.
I don't know. So did you go to uni or not? Did you go to uni?
I didn't go to uni. No. Like,
well,
one of my biggest regrets actually. But then at the same time, no, because I've done it without a degree. But I do feel like you know, setting you up with what you need to know if you're doing the right course, the right thing. Because obviously a lot of people go to uni and they're not as lucky to know what they want to do. So they go off on a tangent, and then it's kind of just an experience. But I feel like doing what I do now, if I'd known, I would probably have done a business degree.
Do you know what? Honestly, actually, looking back, I don't think my degree helped me.
No?
I think it would have been more helpful to just continue interning and being an assistant.
Interesting.
And working up the ranks that way. I think you'd get to where you want to be earlier.
Yeah.
And I think doing an English degree, I really think that writing is one of those things that you either have it or you don't. And I might be wrong, but I just feel like you can either write in a really lovely way, or you can't,
Yeah.
and your work is
Well, it's
littered.
a skill, and not everyone has the same skills. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
And you can learn to an extent certain skills,
Yeah.
but it's like you can. If you think about singing, you're either a really talented, gifted singer,
Yeah.
or you've got to work really hard to try and get by.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like, do you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
And I mean, uni didn't teach me that. It taught me how to write a good essay or like analyze a text, but that's not what I do in my day to day.
No.
So I do think that I probably wouldn't do uni if I did this again. But
okay.
But however, I think uni was really, really helpful for me in terms of like becoming who I am.
Yeah.
I met my husband there, and I think coming from like a South Asian background, it was my first sort of like, it felt like a butterfly almost, like exiting my cocoon. Yeah. Like I was like, who am I? Like without sort of my family.
That probably did help you then, because then it defines your writing style, what you're interested in, perhaps.
You know what?
Because you have time. I think as a writer, you probably need to be, correct me if I'm wrong, but comfortable in knowing who you are.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You can have your voice.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
true.
important to have a voice and stand out.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think like up until then, like I was 19 when I went to uni by that point. 17 when I was at Grazia, and then by the time I went to uni I was 19. And I had never even kissed a boy. Like I was just because like, you know, I come from a really Muslim family, and like we were always told like, no, boys are bad, you don't date, you just get married.
Wow.
And,
okay.
like, so I was always like, no, I can't kiss any boys. I can't like.
When you're living at home in Dubai, it's not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
exactly.
So I suppose this is the first time out of that world.
And actually, I remember the first time I wore shorts in front of my now husband. I felt so guilty afterwards. I cried because I don't know, like I'd just grown up being like, that's slutty. Basically, is what I thought of in my head. Like I could hear someone telling me you're behaving like a slut, and like. And I don't know where that's come from. Like, you know, my parents have never said you look slutty for it. But
no,
I think it's just a sort of
maybe how like we're just like what your own thoughts when you're growing up and you're told not to do something. You're liking it and you attach it to certain things, don't you? So that's just experience.
Exactly. And I think culture-wise, like there is a lot of emphasis placed on like being modest, and like when you visit your grandma, your arms are covered, and like, you know, you around your dad, you don't wear a strappy top, and like so I found that sort of quite hard, and I think that's what university was really helpful for me, was figuring out who I am without these cultural strappings. And figuring out
amazing.
Because I grew up in Leicester obviously, and then I moved to Dubai, and then I went back to Notts, and it's like I had all these different aspects to myself. Like I'm of South Asian and African descent. I grew up in England, and then I moved to the Middle East, and I was like, who actually, like, who am I?
Identity crisis incoming.
Exactly. So it was good for that. But and then after uni, basically I couldn't, throughout uni, like it's sad to think about looking back, but me and my family, we didn't get on very well at that point.
Right.
And so your student loan is based on how much your parents earn and stuff like that, right? And to be fair, my mum didn't earn a lot anyway, and she was on benefits, so I got the most student loan that you could anyway. But then when things kind of went tits up with my family, that meant that basically I couldn't apply for a student loan because I didn't have parents that would vouch for me. So then I had to
what do you do?
Well, so with a bunch of stuff that had happened, luckily or whatever, I had like police statements, and so the police could give a statement saying this girl's on her own,
right? And
I had like the uni therapist and stuff like that have to give a statement to say this girl's estranged,
right?
And then basically you have to apply for like as an estranged student.
Okay, fine. So it's like so it doesn't go then on your family.
It's like a whole process, and it was a struggle because you have to like relive all this horrible stuff to prove that you're alone. And do you know what I mean? Like it was not nice.
No, of course it's not.
But then it meant that I got my loan, but then it also meant that I kind of had no fallback for those last 2 years of uni. So then it got quite hard, and I was like working in the day at Swarovski in the Vic Centre.
I know exactly what you mean. Like that's I know exactly what you mean.
And then at night I was working at a club, like clean up people's sick.
God, stop.
And then I'd rock up to my seminars or whatever at 9 a.m. or 9:30. I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I had to open the shop this morning, I'm late. like it was a bit of a struggle. And